one thing here and see if this will work. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Orientation is locked. No, it's not. No. Still trying to get this thing to go in horizontal instead of in landscape instead of vertical. Lighting, blah, 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 blah. Guess it's not going to let me do it. Yeah, that figures. Sorry about that, folks. I didn't want to get the computer up and going tonight. Lazy. But this is day 2 being out here on a 14 stop route over 4 states. And I've already got just crusted over 1,200 miles in 2 days. And half the trailer's unloaded. And taking consideration, all my stops, I'm either a third of the time bumping docks, the rest of the time I'm using a lift gate. And I do hand unload heavy equipment that ranges anywhere from 100 to 450 pounds by hand, and sometimes those units are stacked one on top of the other, and then you may have to grab 2 to 300 some pound units off the top and lower them down by hand. So that's part of the job here. So yeah, over half the trailer's unloaded. I'm in that new travel plaza in Beckley, West Virginia. As soon as I got logged off, 15 minutes or so, and a snowstorm came in, and the front of my truck's it's been sliding down off the top of the sleeper, and it's just plugging up the front of my windshield. I went out just before the live stream here, and I cleaned out the cowl and around the wiper blades, and it's still coming down. But I've been running the heater. This guy next to me, his really loaded up on the hood and windshield because it's all sliding down off his sleeper. But the premise of this video or this live stream, I just want to get in some discussions, get some talks going on. I have always been preaching about, a few things, and over and over, and that is create your own economy at home. Surround yourself in your own ecosystem of money in and money out. Run it as a business. Look to do some side hustles, start an LLC. Stay away from politics because it'll never make you rich. If anything, it'll make you poor and triggered every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's just a useless topic to be on. But just understanding economics, banking, finance, and investing, and understand those three. Keep your ecosystem of your economy, manageable at home. Create your own asset reserves, if you say it that way, where you can access them for liquidity, and allow yourself to stay in your lane, focus on you, and not worry so much about what your neighbor's doing or who's doing this or who's doing that. Work with what you got, and you'll find yourself blazing a trail and leaving everything behind, especially in this economy. But I've been saying also, the other flip side is, trucking, you come out here, it is detrimental on one's health. Rules and regulations are not, they might as well just let us all go to paper logs and get rid of the ELDs. They're trying to work around this. They're poo-pooing around on this Delilah law for the truckers to kind of clamp down and hold um, brokers, shippers, putting these illegal immigrants that have these foreigners with no experience being on these U.S. roads. Um, that said, between that and the IT, if these guys are getting away with lawlessness, why are we adhering to the laws then? The rest of us. It's just opening the Pandora's box, basically to say, you know what? If it's good for the goose, good for the gander. Hey, if he's doing it, why can't I do it? And you know, run illegal. Um, Many guys did that back in the day, and it's like, why bother with all this tracking? Just let us just run, throw some paper logs in, and go. Save all the software and all the other hobble-baloo, but I don't know. That all said, I could sit here for the rest of my career till I, am positioned to retire and gripe about this and everything that this country's doing wrong, or position myself to say I've put a sands of time onto the lifespan of being out here, and we have done that. My spouse and I have. We should have known today, but the person on the other end had a hiccup with their computer, I guess. So I'm hoping I'll know tomorrow. I was hoping to know by the time the stream came out. But we are in contingent on a house across the country, not in California. I would move to Russia and live in Russia before I lived in California. It's that bad. That whole West Coast is just it's a if you want to be a communist country over there in the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, and California, I mean, just send your people over to Russia and learn how to be communist. So, um, that all said, but we are going out west, and we our house that we wanted 5 years ago, we weren't positioned yet to get it, and now we are, and it looks like it's going to come into fruition. And I should know. I was hoping to. Well, I want to know by at least tomorrow. Um, that all said, um, and it's a snowstorm right now. Take a look at this crap. This is what I'm up against right now. And it was clear and grassy. It was a beautiful day till I got stopped and this all came down, but the damn truck's just loading up with snow. So that's the other reason why. The lifespan here in trucking. It takes its toll on your physical and mental health too, and your relationship status, whether you are dating, married, and have kids. I can understand military personnel being deployed and all that and being away from their families, but in this industry, I don't see the feasibility in it to be out here away from home, whether it's a whole week, 2 weeks, a month, half a year, like some of these folks are doing. That's for them. Um, you know, if if you're gonna stay out and live in the truck over 3/4 of the year, then I say just stay single. Don't commit to any relationships. Don't commit to having kids. Windows fogging up in here. But as I'm approaching 60 later this year, I just drew the line in the sand and said enough's enough. So if I'm greenlit on this house in the next 24 hours, I hope, then we're liquidating pretty much about 95% of everything in our house. We're not taking, liquidating, selling, and minimizing what we're going to take out there. Um, this house is just walk in, throw the groceries in the cupboards, refrigerator, and put our clothes in the closet. That's it. That's all turnkey. Everything's done. So they have done more improvements. It is a newer home, and it's turnkey and ready to go. I'll probably add a few things as we live there. But in contrast, this is going to be like our forever place, and we are. I've seen so many folks over the years get ready towards the end of their career to retire, whatever job it may be. I'm gonna snowbird here. I'm gonna go there, and we just we just came. And I know I said this last week, but we just came to the conclusion. It's like if my health takes me out and I can't travel or pull a camper for the winter months to snowbird out of the northern states during the winter, so then we're stuck. And I don't want to spend my remaining years in the tundra of the snow and dealing with this stuff out here. So we're going to position ourselves so we can. I basically only have to put in about 30 to 40 hours a week to make it and live a comfortable life and continue working on my home based businesses that are just going to ramp up and help be the catalyst to escalating my investment strategy. That way, I've got a nest egg when I turn the corner in my early 70s. So it's a lot of sacrifice. I brought that up to the wife Saturday, and or was it yesterday? And I'm sorry if I look tired because I am. I got up 2:30 Sunday. Um, I ran over almost 670 miles yesterday, but I also made a delivery. I got up at 2:30. I was in the truck at 3:30, and then I got up at 1 o'clock this morning, and I pretty much pushed almost 14 hours out today. Both days, I only had like 5 minutes on my drive clock. Um, so yeah, I'm looking a little. I'm gonna be hitting the bed as soon as this live stream's done. I've already ate, got on the computer, looked at our investments, Laura. I'm gonna hold still with those for now. I looked at the technical charts of it, and where my where the bulk of our investments are, they went on a downtrend the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They've been on downtrend, but they're doing this now. So I don't know if they're going to phasel out or start an uptrend. So we're just going to watch it about 2, 3 times a week. But that's what we're doing right now with all the craziness in the world. And I don't know, all these shitbox countries that we got to go invade. But I told myself the first time, I said I wanted to do more with my life. I wasn't challenged enough the first 12 years of driving. The last year I drove, I was getting bored, and I said, there's got to be more to life than this. That's why I went to school to be a chiropractor. I was burned out, and I was just sick and tired of the driving routine. I wasn't with the best companies back then. You never got treated as good, especially as good as I am here. I've been from that's 10 year sabbatical in driving and in the 4 years in college, um, back to driving for another 12 years. This has been a better round, and the people I've been working for, it says a lot because if you're looking to do better, you'd be all these guys. We've seen guys at this company come and go, come and go. They want all kinds of money, but they want to do very little or no work at all. Therefore, I've been here going on 12 years this September, and it's they've treated me good. I'm making great bank. Do I want to walk away from it? Yes. This isn't the end all be all of the job that I want to do. I'm going to probably try to get in and do some kind of administration or some kind of government work out in the state we're moving to. And with that, it's just I've already had one interview, but I wasn't ready to take the job. They accept the job, move there right now. Said I still need to purchase a house there, so we were still going back and forth with the house negotiations on the price. house aligned perfectly this time around. We've got the liquidity, everything's there. We're set to go. The only thing that's probably going to slow us up getting out of Michigan is the damn weather. It's been crap. As y'all know, that snowstorm and everything that's come across the northern plains, Minnesota, the I-90 and 80 marker, that's coming across us in Michigan. Therefore, we've got to deal with it up there. And I can't really just be. I need to be able to open my garage door, empty my garage, and start, you know, purging things out of the house. And it's a little hard when you got wet snow coming down. So it's just been utterly difficult right now. We did our taxes Saturday, and crazy, for the first time in over a decade, I don't have to pay in. So I'm getting, the whores at the IRS are actually going to give us some money. But other than that, you got to stay humble. You can't go out flying off the handle. You got to do your time at some of these companies. I think that's the biggest discussion I've been having with not only the heads of state at this company, but even with my spouse, is you'll see these guys that come to this company to work, and they have, say in the last 3 years, 4 years, they've, walking in the door, they've got 3 or 4 different employers under their belt, and 7 excuses a Sunday why they, come and go, come and go, come and go. And it's everyone else's fault but theirs. But, it's like you got to hold yourself accountable, and you got to change your paradigm. You've got to start looking towards not being of a consumer in this world, but paying off debt, sacrificing. We celebrated Saturday with getting a house in contingent and the loan lining up into our favor, that we went out to dinner for the first time since November of 2023. And that was the last time we went out to eat. And we eat at home all the time. Like I said, we have just been penny pinching and saving money and paying off debts. And folks, that's what we got to do in this country. The Gen Z and the millennials are not taught that. They're just taught that, you know, continue living your lifestyle. If you can't live it, then go gap it with a credit card. You know, get on some assistance program. Beg mommy and daddy. I don't know. I don't know what the mindset is with most people, but looking at like new vehicle prices and just the cost of stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't entice me anymore, because as I'm getting older and I'm slowing down, and I'm like, why do I want to work my ass off so I can have a Hellcat Charger, a sports car, a big boat, take various trips, Last thing I want to do is get on a stupid ass cruise with a bunch of other monkeys. It's like, dude, if I'm going on vacation, I don't want people around me. Airplane going over in the snowstorm. No big deal. Pretty low. Um, I want some solitude when I'm taking time off, and that's just the way we are. When we had our other property, we could sit out on the deck, wave at people going by. Some would stop and say hi. Others, they knew when if I was there on a Monday, it meant, oh, he's on vacation. That was rare and unusual to see me through the week. And it's going to be nice, because the next phase of all this is I'm only going to be working like a Monday through Friday, 6 8 hours a day, or maybe 4 10s, 30 40 hours a week. Still going to have the home based businesses. I'm going to get away from physical work as far as any of my businesses that I line up. Yeah, so am I down here. I got to go out and dig this stuff out so it doesn't freeze overnight, on the windshield and on the wipers. But chime in the into the chat if you guys, if you guys are doing anything of the sorts that you put yourself, oh, what do I want to say, that you are positioning yourself to get out of your line of work and do something that allows you to be closer with your family. Your family being your spouse, your kids. And if you're not married and you're single, maybe this is the job for you. Um, I don't know. I got a lot of bucket lists and boxes to check off on things I want to do going forward. And to see that through, it means I got to excuse myself out of here and put myself in a different paradigm of time at home. So, when I put my mindset that way, I've gotten to be more angry at the things I used to chase after with my money that I don't even have a feel for or an addiction for anymore. Like I always, I had my damn offshore boat, my race boat was like three times more in my fucking house back in the early 1990s. It was fucking ridiculous. And I want to say, well, the house wasn't worth, the fucking pot to piss in, but you know, it was so bad that I had a new truck pulling a big ass, performance boat that my neighbors came over at the end of the summer and they're like, dude, do you sell drugs? And it was that bad. So my priorities were not straight. And a lot of Americans are not having their priorities straight. And, and even so, there's a lot of stuff I kept saying I want. But now I just look at it and say, out of all the stuff I could say, what's the number one thing I'd want? Financial freedom. I don't want to be in debt and I don't want to have to work 60, 80, 100 hours a week just to have a pickup or a new car or a big country spread house and pole barn. It's just not for me anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to deal with that shit. Plus the upkeep and the maintenance and all that you're just working for it. And you don't get that time to enjoy it. So unless you get a profession that you're making enough bank that it doesn't bother you. But if you're just on the grind, like the majority of Americans are, that you're living check by check, and that's where I don't want to be. I want to be able to say I can just throw my payroll. If I get paid every 2 weeks on a direct deposit and it's in there, and I don't even notice it because I'm not waiting for it to hit the bank so I can cover bills or get groceries, stuff like that. It's like if it's in there, it's in there. If it's not, oh well. It's like you're not pigeonholed to where you're living minute by minute when that each check comes in. Or I've seen people where they take what do they call those, cash advance or check cash, where you can put your payroll check up for collateral just to take an advance on your check at these third party places with fees and interest, because you can't even make it from check to check and you're already in the negative and you got people calling or knocking on your door, what have you. I've seen that enough. And not me, but I've lived around people in that circle that, every which way to Sunday they were just broke, or they were just mommy and daddy were filling in the gaps where their paychecks weren't meeting their needs, or I want to say their needs, meeting their bills, that, because a lot of them just, they weren't going to give up their lifestyle. And it is going to be a lifestyle. For us, it's going to be a simple one. And it's one that we both have agreed on. It's not like we're going to give up so much that we're going to be miserable, but the layout of where we're going to live in the house, in the yard, is going to suffice well enough, because if we ever get off kiltered on our thinking, we can always just reflect back when, especially on these on this channel and these live streams, and say, look at all the time I spent away from home just to make a buck so we could get this damn debts paid off. position ourselves and reach that goal of financial freedom. Yeah, are we going to be completely free? No, you're still have taxes. You're still going to have, some kind of insurance on a vehicle in the house to cover your ass so you don't take a total loss. Um, Food, utilities, that's about where we want to be as those four realms. And with that, it's going to allow me to be more at home. So instead of being 70% away from home every week, I'm going to be more like 70% away from home and out here on the road. I want to be 70% more at home and 30% away. And if I can narrow it down to 20-25%, it's how my brain thinks. It's just I want to have more time at home. I want to indulge in other the biggest thing we're taking the three biggest things we're taking charge of when we get situated in the new house and is more spiritually with God, physical and mental health. And that's because no matter what we do, if we make millions and billions of dollars, but if we don't have your health, um, you just you come up short, and you don't get to reap the spoils of all the hard work you did. So that's where our mindset is just the financial freedom, so we can sleep at night without worrying about how things are going to get paid, or if we got to rob Peter to pay Paul. We have manipulated and did everything to Sunday to cover our bills in the past. Not We're not there like that anymore, but we were, and it was bad. But of course, too, is making sense of um, living that you don't just leverage up and say, look, I'm financially free, I'm making all this money. It doesn't mean all of a sudden you're just running out and spend. That's the marketing tool that the corporations of this country has brainwashed us to think and act. Is don't put your money in savings. Don't only invest it in the stock market because it's their Ponzi scheme. I'm finding alternative ways outside of the stock market to hedge my money in, so it's less volatile through the stock market, and it'll give me a more set, steady income 15 years down the road, starting, if not the next, say, 12 years. So I think a lot of my investments, I can push them out until they're going to be due for an RMD, which is required minimum distribution. So I think around 72 on a couple of them. And then what I'll do is the other ones that are going to mature and build a cash value in them, I'll pull the cash value out and then just invest it, in something that's at least 10% or more with a spread or return, if however you want to say it. So you got to when I say stay humble, don't think you got to be pressured to be out there to have the latest iPhone, flipping a new car every few years, and trying to impress people. Nowadays, if I see someone coming along in a sports car, unless they're in retirement, but these like younger than me, and they come along and they're three-story house with a three-car garage and a diesel pickup and a upgraded SUV like an Escalade or a Lexus, and it's like I look at it and say, do you really need 3,000 square foot home? How much of this do you all need to be? They're a financial hot mess, and I'm looking at it and saying, no, they're not rich. They're in debt, and they're leveraged up. And by the time your 7, 8, 10 year car payments paid off, your car is a pile of shit ready for the boneyard, if it doesn't already take a shit on you and nickel and diming you in maintenance to the point you've got to dump it, and then you're flipping the negative equity in it into another vehicle. It's like all that. Just when people buy new stuff like that, I'm like, I'm not impressed. Um, sorry, it's just not. It's just not a thing that it's more of a boomer thing that you are what you drive and where you live, what zip code, and what your house looks like and how big it is. And that was always the thing is trying to be like the Joneses. And that's how when I grew up through the 70s, that's how everyone measured their wealth is look at me, look what I have. But myself, I don't know. I'd like to say that 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I just want to be sitting out watching the sunset with a stogie and a mojito. And I'll be well satisfied with just that and being content and not having to be out here beating myself up. And always able to go in the grocery store and buy what we need without ever having to look at the price. We're doing that now. The wife still looks for deals, sales, coupons, and stuff like that. Of course, we're going to take advantage of those. But in the end, we're not going in and saying, "Oh golly, we got $40 this, on this paycheck. That's all I can get groceries." So you buy the cheapest products, so you can buy more abundance of it. So you're, buying those cancer-causing agent foods and processed stuff, and just buying chemicals in a, wrapped up in a food form. And that's all. It's all the American food pyramid is anymore. Granted, Robert Kennedy's doing a great job trying to move the needle on that. But, you know, it's going to be an uphill battle. People don't want to change. The thing about human beings is we are creatures of habit, and we are a species that does not like change. Change makes everyone pissy, ornery, squirm, kick, scream, and have a temper tantrum. That's the human nature. if you are if you've lived your life in a routine and been given everything in your life, those are the ones that are going to stomp and scream, whether they're 18, 25, 30, 35 years old, even 40-year-olds. I've seen them. If you want to see how American people act, go to on YouTube and just go to any of these body cam, these cops body cams, where a lot of these people will react to them. But you can just go and watch people, you know, getting pulled over for DUI and just watch them kicking and screaming. Why you arrested me? Well, I haven't been drinking, and they're more polluted than the sinking Titanic, and they can't do a sobriety test. They and they're always crying, "I want to go home." First indication. It's funny that a lot of police officers will say, when they've lost the battle, arguing with you, knowing they're being arrested and going to jail, is when I want to go home. All right, well, you're drunk, and well, after you get booked in and get your charges, then you can get bonded out. And these 30-year-olds, well, let me call my mom. Let me call my lawyer. I want to talk to my lawyer before you arrest me. We're not doing court on the side of the road. You fucked up, pay the consequences. But these people just sit there and just pitch a bitch all the time. If you're going to do drugs and alcohol and try to drive and you get busted, hold yourself accountable for it. And the ones that get deplaned at airports and get kicked out and usually get a lifetime ban on airplanes. Spirit Airlines, you're holding the record on that one, man. You guys are just a complete. It's like getting on a Spirit airline is like you might as well just take a ride in a garbage truck. It's about what it stacks up to. So the cattle car, the garbage truck, cattle car, and I would rent a car and have to drive from the West Coast to Michigan. If my choice was my flight got canceled, I could take Spirit. I'll drive home. I'll just drive home. I won't even get on there because It's like you got all the hood ratchets and the trailer trash all on Spirit Airlines. And that's about what it stacks up to. So funny as hell is Body Cam, Frank Sloop with Body Cam Bingo. That's always a good one to watch. But yeah, I just got to see the other side of how people are, and it's just like they can't hold it together. They're a hot mess. That's America for you. We are not a great nation, and we don't have our shit together. So, but I could sit here and ramble on, but I've stayed humble, positioning myself through all this 6 figures of debt to get it paid down and have liquidity to be able to go in, reach in, grab it, and put it down on this house and get the house we want finally. And it's going to be half the size of the house we're in because we're going into retirement. We're going in our senior years, man. And people are like, don't you want a big house? What the fuck for? I said, dude, I want to be able to go out. If I want to wake up Saturday morning, I want to go fucking golfing. I'm going golfing. I don't want to work on my house. I don't want to mow the lawn and do this and put flower beds in and weed this and do that, paint that, stain that. It's like, fuck that, man. If your life is working on your fucking house, have at her, Hoss. I have no fucking drive for that whatsoever. I will just get up, do have breakfast, do the dishes, have my morning coffee, watch the sunrise. If I want to get on the golf cart and go down to the golf course, which we'll have an on-site golf course where we're going to be living, hell yeah, I'm going to throw the golf clubs on, go knock, a few holes, and maybe stop by the bar and grill. That's also in the community I'm living in. So, and then won't have to deal with these little shit nuggets out here. Just this is where we wanted to be. It's the Disneyland for people over 55. So it's going to be great for us. It's not a cup of tea, and I'm not going to sell it that this is where you should come, but it's for us. It took us 2.5 years to find certain resorts to go move into, and I'll leave it at that. And when we went out there in 2021, this was our last stop, and we found this house in the place we were least likely wanting to live, and it became the most likely one we wanted to live in. And that house, we were still standing outside the house, and Miss Laura here in the chat was wanting to finance it right then and there, but we didn't have the liquidity, and our debt to income ratio wasn't aligned up yet. So she worked diligently the last 5 years and it was able to flip the script and build capital. So here we are. So yeah, my lifespan in trucking is slowly coming to an end, and it's been great. I used it to elevate myself. I paid off debt. I built up capital and know what I want to do next with certainty. I know what I want to do next, and I just want to be home more personal time, and more personal traveling. So that's, like I said, you got to work hard to stay humble and stay the course. If you and your spouse have plans and goals, now probably about 80% of the people we've talked to, they'll never do what we're doing to move 3/4 across the country. I got to stay here. My family's here. The kids are here. The grandkids are here. And I'm like, I'm not knocking them. That's their commitment. That's their love, their passion. I, on the other hand, have looked at my 2 kids. Miss Lauren Chet's never had children. But my 2 kids, I said, you will come to me. I said, I'm not dropping what I'm doing and coming to you. And my son will be out where we're going. He's already out. He left California and he's remote working now because of taxes and the cost of living pushed him out as a software developer and all those guys. When you're making six figures a year, it don't freaking matter. Um, they're ass raping you for every nickel and dime out of your paycheck. So he's going to be a neighbor of ours. My daughter is still going to be here in the Midwest, but I give it time. I think the first trip out, like during a Christmas week, and she's going to want to get the hell out of Michigan herself. She left in 2008, moved back in 2020, living in Annapolis, Maryland, and then, of course, West Hollywood, California. Um, she's my little world traveler. She's gone off and done things and seen things and met some really cool people. But I don't think she's gonna stay in a podunk town that she's in much longer. I'd give it at least 2 3 years after we move. She's probably gonna be on the hunt to get out of there. So, but I'm not saying to come move by us, but definitely live what's going to live where it's going, where you want to spend the rest of your life, and that's going to make you happy, and to keep yourself positioned. And I think people need to see that. A lot of people sacrifice, like the folks we've talked to. They, like I said, they can't move. They say I can't move. Um, my family's here, the kids are here, the grandkids are here, and I'm like, all right, that's your decision, your choice. Um, I'm just not doing it. So I got to live my life. So we are going to put up a bar. There's a nice lit gazebo with a nice gas fire. And it's the whole backyard's illuminated with a palm tree in the back. It's illuminated like a luau, but I am going to put like a tiki bar out there, and it's got a nice header on it. And I'm going to put our company insignia and logo up there, and underneath it in big words, I'm going to put our time, because it's our time now to go live out our life. My wife and I have stopped and paused our lives many a times for family, and now that we've gotten older, I just said it's our time to go indulge into the finer things for our physical and mental health. So, and I think a lot of people need to take that in consideration. Otherwise, you cut your life short, and what good are you to anyone if you're burning out both ends of the, as they say, burning both ends of the candle? Sooner or later, you burn out. I don't know. Is it better to burn out or to fade away? I'd rather fade away. So, anyhow, folks, stay safe. Continue educating yourself. And if there's something you want to interject with this, please, by all means, put it in the comments after the stream. But yeah, is not only just trucking, but anybody. Like I've had most of my mom's side of the family, they have all retired from General Motors, and most of them, my stepdad has made it this long. He's been 40 years out of Buick, but all the rest of them barely made it 5 to 8 years post retirement out of General Motors. A lot of them that worked in manufacturing and the factories and all that, whether Dow Chemical or General Motors in the area of Michigan we grew up in, most of them didn't make the first 5 years out of retirement, and they were and pushing up daisies. So I not working for There's got to be more than just working yourself to a grave. So the things in life aren't worth working for. The material things. I think it's your physical, mental health, God, and the ones that, like for me, my wife, my kids, that unconditionally love me, and so I'm putting them first and saying, you know what, this is we need to have we got to get the family, more connected, and I need to be home to help escalate that so we can be more in sync with harmony. So continue educating yourself. Knowledge is learned, not taught, and we will see you all in the next video.